My presentation is Understanding My Community, and my community is Hays, Kansas. To know its custom and traditions, if you're familiar with Fort Hays State University, you've been to Hays, you will know that it is considered a small city for western Kansas, but it is still very much a small town compared to the most average U.S. city. The traditions in Hays revolve around Fort Hays State and the Vogel Germans and the Catholic churches. It pretty much dominates what goes on around the community, such as Oktoberfest. Hays is 2/3 Catholic, which is the prominent religion. There are other religions here, but the Catholic churches are the main ones. This, along with almost the whole Caucasian population, it does impact our community. The church does have influence over our community leaders, and it's very conservative. USD 49 is going through a large change with transitioning from 2 middle schools into 1. They're taking away the 2 middle schools, consolidating into 1 large middle school, and then the church will gain back their building that the other middle school was in, and eventually have a middle school there. For next year, they're going to just have a transition one as well at the church. So that's kind of a debate right now between public and private school. The population characteristics in Hays is at 89.7, so almost 90% have a high school diploma, which is relatively high. Almost 33% have attained a bachelor's degree, which I think is because of the facility here, Fort Hays State University, and 12.3% have earned a graduate degree or higher. English is the main language spoken in our district. However, we do have a growing population of Spanish speakers. We also have an older population here that speak German and the Volga German, and you will hear that a lot if you're around town. I do have my ELL endorsement, and so I am able to teach the entire ELL population at the 6th grade level at our school, and then I'm the only ELL certified person in our building, and so therefore I'm a resource for that category. The average age in Ellis County is almost 30 years old, which seems to be, to me, pretty young considering the older Germans that are in town, but I guess there's a lot of youth that I did not consider. In 2009, the gender of our population was almost equal. 49% were male, 51% were female. The largest employers here in Ellis County are the Hays Medical Center, which is the hospital here in town. It is quite large. It is the largest hospital, I believe, west of Salina in the state. Fort Hays State University is a huge employer, obviously. All of you are going to attend there. And then USD 49, which is our school district. Unemployment is less than 3.1%, which is almost half of the state average. So Hays is really doing quite well in the economic department with unemployment. Like I said before, Ellis County is mostly white, almost 94%, so there's not a lot of diversity here, and I think that the main diversity in town would be the population of the students from Fort Hays State. That's what brings in a little bit of our diversity. The one difference in town would be the religion, and I got that data from citydata.com. The next thing is our communication channels of who we would contact as a district leader. We have the radio, the television, the newspapers, the internet here in Hays. The local radio stations and television stations really help promote communications from the schools. Most of our radio stations are owned by Eagle Communications, which is a local community business, and that's nice to have. Our Hays Daily News is our local newspaper, and they cover both the public school and private school. However, they do seem a little biased toward the private school. That's just my personal opinion. Internet users can get local information on hayspost.com. That seems to be a new website that posts a lot of our school information as well as the community information. And then there's also a gossip blog on there, it seems like. And then the local high school, Hays High School, has a TV channel for the local school news, which is watched by many in the community. The community groups in town, we have many special interest groups. For example, Leadership Hays, PEO, Beta Sigma Phi, Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, many more, such as that in any other city. Leadership Hays is a club or a group that is selected to go through a training process and just be leaders around our community. The school board determines our policies. The academic teams determine our curriculum with administration. Teachers pilot textbooks and give recommendations to administration for the decision making. And so that's kind of our group within our school and kind of how the trickle down effect goes with leadership. In cooperation with schools and the community, we have youth friends and big brothers, big sisters. Our Kiwanis Club also comes in and does a builders club throughout the week, which has been really nice to promote leadership within our schools. They do a nice job. And then our leadership. USD 49 School Board and the Hays City Commissioners are the leaders in the community. I feel like they control the development of our economic growth in our city. Another group is just the Catholic community as a whole. Those three entities really steer Hays in the directions that they want it to go. Taxpayers, families, and businesses are influenced. And we do see a little bit of a conflict there, which we are doing that right now. The leadership debate is usually centered around the Catholic schools versus the public schools, and that is a huge factor going on right now in Hays. Our characteristics is that leadership levels vary in Hays. It's interesting because the school board and city commissioners always promote that they want to listen, but they're not always as accessible as they say they will be. The school board is currently holding informational meetings on our middle school transition topics. That would be the transition from two schools into one. And then also we have a Build Fast program. The Build Fast is a group that raised funds to build a new sports facility, weight room type area for the athletes at Hays High School. Most of that money has been raised, but a little bit of it has not been, and they're asking the school to fork out the money. And it's drawn a huge stonewall, I would say, into the community as far as the people that want to continue donating and the people that do not want to continue donating. They will be actually voting on that tonight at the school board, so hopefully we will be able to find out the outcome of that. The economic conditions in Hays. I went ahead and just posted the website where to get the city budget. And you can peruse that at your leisure. Our largest agriculture is farming and oil. Our medical field is a large employer as well as FHSU. Ellis County was noted in 2011 as being the second least stressed economy in the entire nation. And I found that to be true when moving here just recently in the last 18 months. Employment proves to be stable with low unemployment rates, but property values continue to grow in Ellis County. And as a new member of the community and purchasing a home, it is one of the highest real estate growth in the state, which keeps the prices of housing extremely high right now. Actually one of the highest markets in the state. I went ahead and included the city office information as well as the school board office information there for you. In such a small community, I see Hays as being unable to separate politics from religion. That's kind of been what Hays has been founded upon, especially the Catholic Church, and I don't see a lot of that changing. More money is spent at the state and local levels on education than any other function of government, so I went ahead and put the school board budget there so that you can look at that as well and what we spend our money on. We are adding on to our middle school this next year, so that's been part of the budget, but they are trying to vote to accept a FEMA grant. And then we are also including budget for the transition. The social tensions in town. There are a few minorities in the Hays community, but mostly they're part of Fort Hays State's enrollment, like I said before. Fortunately, Hays is very low on crime or gang activity considering per capita. There are clusters of wannabes, which I just laugh at that since I've lived in several different places around the United States, but nothing like other cities. I grew up in Oakland, California, which has a large gang population, and then I taught down in Southwest Kansas with a lot of the Hispanic and Asian population, and they actually have some startup gangs as well, and Hays just doesn't have that at any fashion. Cliques. I feel like the cliques in Hays is divided by religion and income. It's pretty prominent in town what your socioeconomic statuses are, and I believe that that really determines some of the cliques here in town. There is a little bit of discrimination just for the fact that it's predominantly white, it's very conservative, it's very religious, and you can see some of that into town, especially with a little bit of our elderly. And I speak pretty freely saying that just because my grandma is in that category here in town as well. the causes of that. Due to the strong Volga German ancestry, there are many misconceptions about other cultures, and I think it's just a little bit about exposure. They've never been exposed to all these different cultures. They're very narrow-minded a little bit. Most it's just not from being exposed to other races around the world. There is a social class discrepancy, and I do see it in the school systems as well as the workforce, and that would be where I see some definite social tensions. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for listening.